Hello guys. And as they say, he who laughs last laughs best? That happened to Alabama after DeMarcus Riddick declared that he would not lose to Bama, and he did. The Auburn player said this before the Iron Bowl. Before the news, subscribe to the channel to receive more Bama news. The Iron Bowl is always a spectacle in itself, but this year's edition brought an additional element of excitement and rivalry. Alabama, led by Kalen DeBoer, showed why it is a college football powerhouse and how confidence, when combined with performance, can silence critics. The target of this lesson was Auburn linebacker DeMarcus Riddick, who learned the hard way that words must be backed up on the field. Riddick's pregame statement that Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe couldn't outrun him quickly turned into a firestorm for the Crimson Tide. Milroe, known for his ability to make game-changing plays both through the air and on the ground, seized the opportunity to prove otherwise. In a moment that will be remembered by Alabama fans, Milroe not only got around Riddick to reach the end zone, but he also turned it into a symbol of the Tide's superiority over the Tigers. Milroe's performance was nothing short of spectacular. He racked up 104 rushing yards and 256 passing yards, with 3 touchdowns to secure a 28-14 victory in Tuscaloosa. His resilience and leadership on the field were praised by DeBoer after the game. "I'm really proud of the way he played tonight," the coach said, noting the quarterback's impact on both the scoreboard and team morale. Riddick, on the other hand, had a quiet performance, recording just 2 total tackles. His pre-game remarks, which included an attempt to dismiss Alabama wide receiver Ryan Williams as not a world-class player, served as a reminder that underestimating an elite opponent rarely ends well. The Crimson Tide took the opportunity to emphasize that lesson on social media, sharing a video that combined Riddick's remarks with Milroe's game-winning run and end-zone celebration. While the post was quickly deleted, the message was clear: at Alabama, football is played with actions, not just words. With the win, the Crimson Tide closed out the regular season with a solid 9-3 record and now awaits developments in the conference championship games to determine their postseason fate. The performance against Auburn made it clear that even in a season full of challenges, Alabama remains a force to be reckoned with. The team's resilience, coupled with DeBoer's strategic leadership, keeps hopes alive for a possible return to the college football playoff picture. For Alabama fans, the game was more than a numbers win. It was a reminder of the competitive spirit and tradition that make the Crimson Tide one of the greatest dynasties in sports. For Milroe, it was an opportunity to solidify his position as a leader on and off the field, turning criticism into fuel for victory. And for Riddick and Auburn, it was a valuable lesson in the importance of respecting your opponents, especially when they're wearing an Alabama uniform. Let's move on. Is the NCAA transfer cycle heating up? And the Alabama Crimson Tide are once again in the spotlight, this time with the likely departure of 2 promising players, wide receiver Kobe Prentice and safety Jaleel Hurley. The news of Prentice's intention to enter the transfer portal, reported by Pete Nakozum on 3, is a reflection of how the competitive environment at Alabama can shape careers, both positively and with unique challenges. Prentice arrived at Alabama with high expectations, as one of the most coveted recruits in the 2022 class. His first 2 seasons showed flashes of the talent that made him an elite prospect. With 49 receptions, 651 yards, and 4 touchdowns in that span, he was a key piece of the Crimson Tide offense. However, the transition to Kalen DeBoer and injuries during the 2023 season have hindered his progression. He finished the year with just 11 receptions, 129 yards, and 1 touchdown, a significant drop for someone with so much potential. The decision to pursue new opportunities is understandable, considering any athlete's desire to maximize their impact and development. However, it cannot be ignored that Prentice still carries a lofty status, and his ability to create explosive plays will make him one of the most sought-after names in the transfer portal. For Alabama, losing a player with that ability is a blow, but the school's recruiting and development system always ensures that talent is replenished. On the other hand, Jaleel Hurley, a safety with 3 years of eligibility remaining, is also considering following suit. He brings physical attributes that could make him a difference at another program. While his departure will be less impactful in the short term compared to Prentice, the Crimson Tide loses a player with significant growth potential. Transfers, especially at programs like Alabama, reflect the competitiveness and pressure to perform at one of the biggest powerhouses in college football. Under Kalen DeBoer, the Crimson Tide have already shown resilience and adaptability during a season full of ups and downs. The departure of players like Prentice and Hurley could open up opportunities for other emerging talents on a roster that has always been deep and well prepared. For Prentice, this is not just the end of a chapter, but the beginning of a new opportunity. His skill and experience at Alabama position him to succeed wherever he goes. For the Crimson Tide, the philosophy remains the same: continue building a program that relies not on 1 or 2 stars, but on a winning culture. While fans mourn the departure of talent like Prentice, the focus remains on the future. At Alabama, the names may change, but excellence remains the priority. Let's move on. The debate over Alabama's inclusion in the college football playoff is one of the most heated this season, and Paul Feinbaum's statements only reinforce the complexity of this discussion. For the ESPN analyst, the Crimson Tide is not just another competitor, it is an iconic brand in college sports. In his words, the strength of this brand should weigh in on the committee's decision, especially in a season where Alabama has shown both resilience and inconsistency. The Alabama brand is, without a doubt, one of the most influential in college football. From its dominance under Nick Saban to the current leadership of Kalen DeBoer, the Crimson Tide has built a reputation that transcends the individual results of a season. Feinbaum emphasizes that Alabama carries a cultural and competitive weight that cannot be ignored. According to him, the selection committee, when considering candidates, should consider not only on-field performance, but also the historical impact and credibility of the institution in the college football scene. Feinbaum's analysis is not just based on the brand. He argues that the Crimson Tide has quality wins that few other teams on the CFP bubble can match. Wins against Georgia, a recognized powerhouse, and South Carolina are evidence that Alabama has the ability to overcome top-tier opponents. Furthermore, the Tide's strength of schedule, ranked 17th in the nation, is an indication that the team has faced significant challenges throughout the season. On the other hand, the counterargument cannot be ignored. Losses to Oklahoma and Vanderbilt raise questions about Alabama's consistency, especially in a transitional season without Saban at the helm. While the Crimson Tide have shown flashes of excellence, they have also had moments of vulnerability that complicate the narrative. For some critics, those losses are enough to keep them out of the CFP, regardless of historical weight or brand appeal. Feinbaum also expresses concern that the committee may opt for a neutral approach, excluding all SEC candidates from the race in an effort to avoid controversy. That, he said, would be a strategic mistake, since the conference remains one of the most competitive in the country, and excluding a program like Alabama would ignore the larger context of college football. The Crimson Tide's fate will be decided based on a combination of coaching merit and perception. The program's wins, strength of schedule, and cultural influence are powerful arguments in favor of including Alabama. But the losses and inconsistent season are also real obstacles. Under DeBoer, the team has demonstrated that even in a transitional year, it can still compete at the highest level, a testament to the strength of the brand and culture built over the years. What do you think? Let's keep moving forward. Danny Canal has a critique of the issue. Let's take a look. The college football playoff always generates intense debate, but Danny Canal's outrage over the latest rankings demonstrates just how polarizing the system can be. Canal's main criticism, that the committee favored Alabama because of its brand, highlights a central conflict in the selection process, weighing merit against historical and cultural influence. Canal argues that the Crimson Tide, with 3 losses, should not be ranked ahead of Miami, which has only 2. On the surface, the argument seems sound, especially considering that losses are often a determining factor in the committee's decision. However, as many analysts have noted, the context of wins and losses is equally relevant, and this is where Alabama builds its case. The Crimson Tide has two notable wins against high-profile teams, South Carolina and Georgia, both of which still rank in the top 25 of the CFP rankings. These wins not only underscore Alabama's strength of schedule, but also demonstrate its ability to overcome elite opponents. On the other hand, Miami, despite its strong record, lacks wins against ranked teams, which weakens its bid. The Hurricanes' loss to Syracuse was also particularly damaging, given the difference in quality between the teams. What makes the debate more intense is Alabama's track record in the college football playoff format. The Crimson Tide has appeared in 8 of the previous 9 editions of the CFP, winning 3 championships in that span. That consistency fuels the perception that Alabama is treated with a higher level of leniency by the committee, something Canal summed up as marks over merit. It's a strong accusation, but it ignores the impact that big wins and strength of schedule have on the deliberations. For Miami, the scenario is frustrating. After a promising season, the loss to Syracuse costed much more than a ranking. With a relatively favorable schedule, the Hurricanes had a chance to build a solid case for the CFP, but now they're at the mercy of the chaos in the ACC and the goodwill of the committee. The prospect of facing SMU for a postseason berth shows how much the road has changed since the Syracuse stumble. The 3 losses are a negative, but the recent history of big wins supports the argument that Alabama is still one of the best teams in the country. The debate between Canal and the committee isn't just about Alabama and Miami. It encapsulates the tension between tradition and merit that permeates college football. The college football playoff is designed to crown the best teams in the country, but the definition of what makes a team best varies. For some, it's the number of wins. For others, it's the impact of victories against elite opponents. And for the most vocal critics, like Canal, the influence of branding is an inescapable reality. Regardless of where you stand on this debate, one thing is clear: the Alabama-Miami debate reflects the best and the most complicated of college football. I want to hear your thoughts on this debate. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.